Hello everyone. So today I have with me Tuhin and he has secured AIR 9. So congratulations first of all Tuhin.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for having me.
So Tuhin has scored AIR 9 but he has a very interesting background. So Inter I think आपने 1-1 ग्रुप दिया था right? And then
Correct,
आपके
correct.
आर्टिकलशिप में भी आपका एक अटेम्प्ट स्किप हो गया था and still you managed to kind of get your AIR. Can you just uh, help us? क्या हुआ था?
Sure, sir. So I gave my group one of CA Inter in November 2019. That was my first attempt of CA Inter, and I cleared it. I gave my first group and cleared it. Then May 20 में तो the exams did not happen. So then I gave my second group in November 20 and cleared that as well. And then my articleship was supposed to start by April 21, but then it got delayed because it was a COVID scenario and I was not able to get a firm, so it got delayed. And because of that, my attempt was originally due in November 23, and that delay, I mean, it was like there was an extension, but then later on something happened and I was not able to claim that extension. So I was originally preparing for the November 23 examination. I started watching lectures from October 22 itself. But then all of a sudden, when I was filling the exam form for November 23 in the month of August, I realized that I was not eligible for November 23 examinations, and then I had to give the exams in May 24.
तो ये आपको पता चला अगस्त में.
August, May, yes, while filling the exam form.
Okay, okay, okay. So that must be very difficult time for you, right? जब भी आप
That was very difficult. I almost thought about giving it up. I thought नहीं ये मेरे fate में नहीं है. I thought no, I would not be able to study all of this once again because I was quite reasonably prepared for the November attempt as well. So because it was only the last 2 months, August, September, October. So I was through with my first read. I had completed the lectures. I was pretty confident that I would be able to make it in November 23, but then this thing happened.
Okay, but in the hindsight now, I mean, maybe how did you kind of cope up with that shock maybe and वो आपने कैसे आपके advantage पे use किया for your May 24 and getting a rank? How did you kind of use that?
So what happened? Yeah, looking back at it now I feel, yeah, it was a very good thing that happened. Like जो होना था अच्छे के लिए हुआ, definitely. But that moment, that August ka month, that was pretty tough for me. So first of all, the biggest problem, I mean, the thing which came to my mind was how do I get a leave once again, because I was already on a leave.
Correct.
So I spoke to my principal, and she cooperated. She understood the situation. So at least the leave situation was pretty much managed. But then starting all over again and then doing it again, and that was a task. So
Okay.
I initially I started slow. I did it on my own because I was through with the lectures, and as such there were not many amendments. There were in DT IDT, but the other subjects were, it was a new course and all of that, but the other subjects were more or less stable. So I started with AFM. I did that once. Then I started with DT. So DT, there were a lot of amendments because what happens is from November to May the Finance Act changes.
Mm-hmm.
So I was actually very worried about it, about the legal subjects DT and IDT. That how would I cope up, because the Finance Act changes. So I thought, अरे होगा ये नहीं होगा. But then slowly and steadily I was studying from the month of August itself. The day I figured out that I'm not eligible, uske baad I took a good break of 15-20 days,
Mm-hmm.
and around August end is when I started studying. And fortunately then I got my leave in January, around 4 months ka leave.
Hmm.
So, and from then I studied till May, and this happened.
So that's really good to hear, and to all to everyone who is listening. So maybe you might get setbacks. Setbacks can be in any form. Maybe your attempt gets delayed. Like in Tuhin's case, probably you even had to. You might have studied for law and audit as well, right? And wo open book.
Yeah, yeah, law and costing.
Yes, sorry, law and costing. So there may be setbacks in any form, but I mean, you have to trust destiny, and hopefully you kind of draw inspiration from what Tuhin has done and probably use it to your advantage. And who knows, you might also land up with AIR, barabar, single digit AIR wo bhi.
No, no, it was definitely to my advantage because I never got a rank before this.
Okay,
So even when I was preparing for November 23 exams, all I wanted was I want to clear these exams. That's it.
exactly,
And even
exactly.
when I was preparing for the May 24 exams, it was the same. I just want to clear it. Forget about a rank and everything. I don't want to see these books again.
Okay, you resonate a lot of things what a lot of student goes through. But so what do you think you did differently कि यार आपको इतना quantum leap मिला? I'm sure you have more time, yes. But how did you plan, or what extra things did you do to kind of break that glass ceiling?
So when it comes to I initially started with AFM. So I was pretty confident with the practical papers, but then theory was always a problem, which I feel is the problem with the majority of the students as well. So I started with AFM, and then I did the normal chapters. I think when my leave started, prior to that, I had completed I think two reads because I was preparing for the November attempt itself. But then in my leave, that is from January, I started with AFM, and I took close to first read was pretty. I was not short on time. In fact, I was having a lot of time because I had completed it twice earlier. So I took it slow. I gave close to I think 9 to 10 days to AFM. Made sure to cover everything. Did not leave anything.
Hmm.
Solved the question bank,
Hmm.
uh, the material which you had provided.
Hmm.
Solved the questions. Made sure to mark the questions, the ones which I would want to refer later on.
Hmm.
And yeah, I would study close to on a bad day, maybe it would go down to as low as 6 to 7 hours, and then on good days it would be around 12 hours. So on an average, I would say 9 to 10 hours is what I studied.
Okay.
So AFM is a reasonably छोटा subject है, तो yeah, I was able to manage it in those 10 days.
Hmm.
But I did the theory part. I glanced through the theory and at least looked at it in the first read itself. कि
Okay.
चलो ये लास्ट के लिए नहीं छोड़ना है, वरना लास्ट के लिए छोड़ते छोड़ते it you end up not doing it.
Correct. Correct.
So I just glanced through it. Of course, I did not put a lot of time,
Hmm.
maybe half a day or so,
Hmm.
just to make sure that next time when I see it, I'm familiar to those topics, to those theory topics.
Okay, okay. And how did you cope up with FR? It's quite a big subject, and I believe AFM you took the exam-oriented batch, but FR तो आपने regular किया,
Yeah.
right? So how did you
Uh,
kind of plan and finish off the FR? Because it's a very big subject.
yeah. So first of all, FR, the most important thing I would say is completing the lectures, and that too not just rushing through them. Completing them with a proper understanding. I don't feel, I mean, I never went above 1.3 or 1.5x. I would watch them slowly.
Okay, okay.
And yeah, that was a 360-hour lecture, 360 hours in total. So
So अच्छा है
first
यार
of all, that's
1.3 and
the
1.5 आप बोल रहे हो slowly है. तो now everyone watches it 2x, huh?
हाँ हाँ, आजकल everyone watches it at 2x, yeah.
Okay, okay.
तो it took वो तो मैंने पहले ही कंप्लीट कर लिए थे बैक इन October 22, because I was preparing for the November attempt. So I had started with FR itself. That was the first lectures which I took, and I completed them. I personally had a bias towards FR. I would like it too much, so I completed it in a very short period of time.
Okay.
But then later on in the study leave, I gave it ample amount of time. I think my first read went up to 14 days.
Oh,
I gave it the time.
that's apt. That's absolutely apt.
I made sure to cover everything
Okay.
again, and even solve the business combination and consolidation questions, because I wo AX, BX wala ABX, then that akka bakka wala sums, those important sums. I made sure. Now the good thing with AFM is that you can solve it in, but FR ka, especially the bigger questions, the
Hmm.
consolidation, business combination ones, I made sure that मैं proper balance sheet बना रहा हूँ and I'm solving those sums.
Okay, okay. So I guess doing pen and paper practice for FR, at least for the bigger topics, ensuring that you give
Yeah,
adequate time, so not rush through maybe 3, 4, 5 days कम करने के चक्कर में, don't compromise. For AFM, you ensure that you do
hmm.
everything and including theory as well. And probably a pro tip from
Yeah.
you would be कि if your attempt is November 25, assume करे attempt is May 25 and prepare, बराबर है?
हाँ हाँ, डेफिनेटली डेफिनेटली वी कैन कंक्लूड दैट, वो तो कर सकते हैं कंक्लूड कि एक अटेम्प्ट का पहले का सोच के पढ़ लो, तो देयर इज अ हाई चांस यू वुड डू रीजनेबली वेल.
Correct, correct, correct. And maybe some students always say ये तो practical का बात हुआ, theory में they are always
हाँ.
think that what are the little things, like everyone knows audit में क्या है broadly, but everyone does not
Hmm.
score those marks. So those little
Hmm.
things, how do you manage those little things in theory in terms of presentation, pointers? Do you have to reproduce and write everything as in the SM? What are your suggestions to manage the little things for at least theory papers? And even if you can shed some light on practical.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. So with AFM especially, you don't have to worry about the theory aspect. It does not have to be word to word. I mean, I don't think it's expected that you write as per the institute language, especially when it comes to AFM. You need to know the pointers, the head point, sub point wala game hai. You
Hmm.
know the main points. You can fill in your content as per your knowledge, and we have seen students get 4 on 4. Even I'm pretty sure I would have got good marks in those
Hmm.
theory questions as well. And same is the case with FR, because I feel when it comes to the practical subjects, the theory does not have to be ekdam word to word. It can be a bit in your own words. And then DTIDT, it's provision based. So again, you don't necessarily have to worry about the legal language, because DTIDT, I do consider them to be practical subjects, because in the end you are solving sums and you're just quoting the provisions. So if you can remember the section numbers well and good, that's very nice, but it's not mandatory. I think the getting the answers, the numbers correct in DT and IDT is what matters more. And audit is one subject which I always had a problem with. So in audit, I had a very different approach. I would actually write and try to memorize it. So I would I know it's not possible to write the entire subject. Of course, that's not possible. But the core areas, the very important topics, like we have those uh, 700 series standards, or the 200 series standards. Just a 700 may we have opinion drafting and all of that. And then in the 200 series there are a lot of generic points like quality control and all of that. So I feel what I used to do is I used to write those points just to memorize them, and then later on look at my own notes. So
Okay.
that helped me memorize the content when it comes to audit.
Okay.
एंड बाकी जो प्रोविजंस है, आई फील जैसे ऑडिट में ना, यू हैव दीज 500 600 series standards which are practical. So the standards which are practical, you can worry less about the language, because I've seen generally the case study part, I mean the application is asked more. So those are some of the questions, some of the areas where you can kind of not worry about the language too much and get the concept correct. But at the same point of time, the problem with these questions is that if they are tough, then they will not help you. Then
Mm-hmm.
that रट्टा वाला जो 200 वाला सीरीज है, या तो फिर जो जो हेड पॉइंट सब पॉइंट वाले क्वेश्चंस है, those
Mm-hmm.
questions help you. So in a difficult attempt, it's always the theory, the general theory which helps more, because the practical part comes tough.
Okay, okay. So let's actually, we cleared audit a long time back and there was no series. All of these 200, 300, 700 job bol rahe ho, none of these series were there. So we cleared at the right time. Nevertheless, chalo acha. And MCQs, did you prepare in general separately or what is your approach towards MCQs, especially for the practical papers because they're relatively new?
Yeah, so I would say you don't have to practice separately for the MCQs. I would say when you get done with a topic, a particular topic, just solve the MCQs. I think time management is the key,
Okay.
and it's actually a very good thing in FR, I would say, because that's the only reason I was able to complete the paper.
Hmm.
Otherwise, I don't think I would have been able to complete the paper, because I could complete the MCQs in what 25 minutes or so. So I
Okay.
was able to save a lot of time. So
Okay.
I think fundamentally, if you are clear, then MCQs are it's a byproduct, I would say.
Okay.
You
Okay.
don't necessarily have to separately study for it, but at the same point of time, in order to get that speed, you should practice
Mhm.
some MCQs.
Okay. And IBS paper 6, how did you study for it separately or
So since I was studying for the November 23 attempt itself, so I had good clarity about law and costing.
okay.
So I did not put a lot of time in that subject in the IBS paper. And I would say, yeah, the institute material, the case studies which they have given, they are more than sufficient, I would say. They give you an understanding of how the questions would come. And I've seen there's not a lot of interlinking. So even if someone is weak with a particular subject, there's
Mhm.
there's not a lot to worry about, because in the same case study, it's like solving five different questions. So even if
Mhm.
you don't know one, you can still score 20, 17, 15 out of 25.
And we have seen reasonably good scoring even जो initious anxiety था कि यार IBS में क्या
Ah,
करें,
yes,
but we've
yes.
seen reasonably good scoring across students के IBS में अच्छे खासे marks भी आए बच्चों को. But did you use the open?
Yes, yes.
I'm sure you would have taken a suitcase or something. Did you actually use any of?
हाँ, पूरा 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 सर, पूरा झोला भर के लेकर गया था.
बट वो कुछ यूज किया
So
आपने
yeah.
एग्जाम में या खुद से ही
हाँ,
ढूंढ लिए?
इंस्टीट्यूट जो जो मॉड्यूल्स थे ना, मॉड्यूल्स वर द वन विच हेल्प मी.
ओके.
मॉड्यूल्स में आई फील कि जो कंटेंट है ना, वो मॉड्यूल से उठ के बहुत आया था.
ओके.
सो बट देन टू बी एक्स्ट्रा सेफ, आई वुड से कैरी एज मच एज यू कैन. ऑफ कोर्स इट्स नॉट पॉसिबल टू कैरी एवरीथिंग, वो तो नहीं हो पाएगा. बट आई वुड से जितना हो सके उतना कैरी करो, बिकॉज यू नेवर नो कौन सा बुक काम आ जाए.
कैरी करो फिर वो
एंड
घर
आई
निकल
वुड
के वो लिंक्डइन का पोस्ट डाल दो सब बुक्स के बाहर एग्जाम
बस
खत्म हो
बस
गया बस.
डुअल पर्पस है उसका, फोटो भी हो जाता है वही दिन.
यस 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 यस.
So I would say one more tip for IBS is maybe cross-linking the institute material with your own material, because we are generally used to referring our own material.
हम्म.
So institute का material मेरा तो ऐसे मतलब brand new पड़ा था. तो
हम्म.
in those 1.5 days I did a bit of cross linking कि अच्छा ठीक है,
हम्म.
ये मेरे बुक में यहाँ पे है, ये
हम्म.
ये सेम कंटेंट इंस्टीट्यूट के मटेरियल पे यहाँ पे है. So
हम्म.
what I can do is, even if my material is a summary material, I
हम्म.
can look at the concept, and if it's a practical question, I can solve it from there itself. But then if it's a theory question, then I can go to the same area in the institute's material and then copy paste it.
Okay, okay, okay. And in general, how many readings did you do? How many revisions did you do overall?
So from January till April till May, I did 3 readings, including the examination day one.
Okay. So two proper readings and one is चलो जो exam day है वो तो सब कर रहे हैं. So two readings
हाँ,
as study leave.
yeah,
Okay.
या 2 readings. एंड उसके पहले का जो हुआ था नवंबर 23 का जो हुआ था वो तो था ही. उसके
Hmm.
अलावा आई डिड 2 readings
Okay.
एंड लास्ट में एग्जाम वाला.
Okay. Okay. Just concluding points, any tips that you would like to share with aspiring chartered accountants in the coming attempt?
So I would say FR, don't skimp on FR. I think it's a subject which deserves a lot of time. I would say even if you give that 14 days, 12, 13, 14 days, then in your first read, then it's very much worth it, because there's no point just rushing through it and then you are not remembering anything in the second read. So
Mm-hmm.
that would eventually take up more time.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be more beneficial if you put in more days in the first read itself, and then automatically your second read goes very smooth. And the best part is that it's the first paper, so you don't have to worry about those 1.5 days.
Mm-hmm. Correct, correct, correct.
So I would say first read में is where people generally have seen कि students skimp. So I
Mm-hmm.
would say give it ample amount of time in the first read itself, get through the concepts, and yeah, that would really help.
Okay, okay. Chalo, good to hear from you, Tuhin, and very inspiring on how at least you could score a single digit rank after probably a series of setbacks, but a lot to learn. And I'm sure you will do exceptionally well in your professional career as well. Good luck for the same, and thanks a lot for spending your time and guiding students.
Thank you so much, sir. And I would really want to thank you, sir. I think the lectures which I had taken, they were a blessing, sir. I'm really thankful to the way you taught us.
Thank you very much. But आपने जो effort डाला, a lot of the credit, almost all of that goes to your efforts. But thank you very much nevertheless. ठीक है.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. हाँ.